It's Sunday, which means it's time for our No Days Off segment. And this week, we're featuring two former stand-up football players from Northwest Ohio turned Michigan Wolverines. You might have heard of them before. Jordan Kovacs of Clay and Alan Gant of Southview. They would both follow in their dad's footsteps and play for the Maize and Blue. One of them never receiving a Division I scholarship offer and would be cut from the team twice before starting in 46 games. Now they're both at their alma maters as coaches.
Jordan, a former Clay Eagle, Allen, former Southview Cougar. Looking back, how did playing Northwest Ohio football prepare you guys for your careers at Michigan?
That's a tough question. I think that the talent level, especially in the City League at that time, was very high. And I understand the track is a very competitive league as well. So I think that, you just had the Midwestern kids, it was hard-nosed blue-collar football, and, there's some parallels to playing big-time ball.
Yeah, and I think that also being so close to the border in between Ohio and Michigan and, having ties here in Michigan also helped us translate from the high school level to the college level.
Jordan, you still make an effort to go back home and help out with some youth camps. Why is going back home so important to you?
Well, I think I just remember being a young kid, growing up a huge Michigan fan. And, maybe I didn't have that experience as a kid with, former Michigan players coming home. So I think that is a fun thing that, we're able to put together every now and then, coming back and participating in youth camps and just really having a presence in the Northwest Ohio area.
Alan, you were on that 2012 Southview football team that won the state championship, the only state championship the area has ever seen. Where does that moment rank in your moments compared to the ones you had at Michigan?
I was definitely in the top. I mean, that's a championship that we won. It's been my only ring that I've had so far. Hopefully, we get another one on my hand. But it was just an unbelievable experience being with those group of guys on that team, that senior class that set the standard for us that year. And definitely give a lot of credit to Coach Mazies. I mean, he was an unbelievable coach, unbelievable motivator. So it was definitely one of my best memories.
Now, you were a freshman when Jordan was a senior. Did you guys know about each other when he got to the team?
Oh, yeah. Yep. I was told, we've got a kid coming from Northwest Ohio, from Sylvania, Southview, and I remember watching him growing up. And so I was excited to be able to take him under my wing. He was a safety when he first got here, so I was able to help him get his feet under himself a little bit. And, he was a great kid, and he was just fun to work with, early on.
Alan, how much did you look up to Jordan?
I looked up to him a lot. I mean, knowing his story, being, I think, cut from the team a couple times, and making it as a walk-on. I mean, that's a story that you hear once every blue moon, and just being able to overcome all those obstacles and all that adversity. It was definitely somebody I looked up to, and he helped me get through a lot of the tough times as a freshman. I mean, coming as a freshman, you don't know what to expect at a big university on a big campus and a big stage. And there was a lot of times where I felt like I don't think I could really do this. I had some thoughts of quitting, things like that. But he helped me guide me in the right direction my first year.
Now, Jordan, your Twitter bio still says hashtag Walk On Nation. How much does your story of walking on here at Michigan, starting 46 of the 50 games you played in, how much does that define you still?
I was very fortunate, to play as much as I did. I think that the team was in a much different situation. But it really helps me relate to the players, especially the walk-on kids. And, I've been able to help coach some scout teams, and I think that those guys really take to me and they understand my history. And I was a guy who, at one point really had to work for whatever, everything that I earned. And I think that those guys just continue to work hard. And it's easy to coach those guys when they give you that much respect.
With the defense here, which has been stellar this year, you're learning under someone who Coach Harbaugh has dubbed the best coach he's ever seen on either side of the ball in special teams, Coach Don Brown. What's the most important thing he's taught you guys about the game?
His saying is solve your problems with aggression. I love that saying. I live by that saying since I've been back. Just most importantly, I mean, he's a great guy. Unbelievable coach, as everyone knows. He's been in the top 5 defense, every place that he's been to. Pretty sure, UConn, Boston College, now here. So just learning all of his coaching techniques and, how he goes about his day, goes about his, work habits. It's unbelievable being underneath him.
Yeah, I would just say he's just very aggressive. His coaching style, everything he does, he's just very aggressive. He coaches downhill, and his players play downhill, and they buy into that. And I think ultimately it's fun. And those guys, it's easy to get them to buy into a scheme like that.
I know the revenge tour is something the team seemed like they bought into quickly, but how quickly did the staff buy into that?
When you're winning, it's easy to buy into anything, I guess. But the guys really, it kind of gave them an identity, I think, and they've had fun with it, and I think the coaches have had fun with it as well.
Yeah.
Do you guys have any of the gear? I've seen a lot of the gear floating around.
I don't have any of the gear.
I got a hat.
I don't have one yet.
Yep.
When you think about Ohio State week, back to when you guys played in the winged helmets, what moments come to mind first?
The win in 2011, I think that was a big one. We ended up going and playing in the Sugar Bowl that year, and that was just a huge win for us and for the program. So, that's one of the good ones that comes to mind.
For me, I was on the losing side ever since I've been here as a player. But I'm just more excited just to finally get another opportunity now that we're on the coaching side of things, to get an opportunity to get that W underneath our resume.
Knowing that the Buckeyes are on the clock, how does the atmosphere here in Schembechler Hall change?
It's a different feel. Every year once you get to this week, I think that there's just a different intensity. And I'm excited to see the players this week and just, you can just see it in their eyes. And, especially once you get out to the practice field, you just realize it's just something about it is different. And it's a big game for us, a big game for this program, and I think that they understand that.
Yeah, and obviously, anytime you play Ohio State, it's a big game. I think everyone knows what's at stake. Winning the the Big Ten East Division, and also have an opportunity to play in the Big Ten championship game. We also have playoff implications on the line. So I think the guys are really focused. The preparation is going to be very key, but I think our guys are mature enough to handle it.
You guys are both from Ohio, but you followed in your dad's footsteps of playing here. Did it ever cross your mind that you could be an Ohio State fan?
Never for me. I kind of had made my mind up from day one that I was going to play football at Michigan, and things worked out. Had they offered me a scholarship, I don't know how that would have changed things, but nobody offered me a scholarship, so it's a moot point. But no, that never really crossed my mind.
For me, growing up, I did grow up a Buckeye fan. When I was born, my uncle, Sean Sims, he coached at Ohio State. So through my younger years, we would always go to the Ohio State game. And it was funny because, my dad would just kind of sit there in the back, really wouldn't say much about anything. And even when I was getting recruited, Ohio State was on the top of my list, and that was the school I wanted to go to at the time. Fell in love with Jim Trussell. He was an outstanding coach. But it was funny because me and my dad also had the same background. When he was in college, he liked Woody Hayes, and he thought that he was going to go to Ohio State as well. But just, it was hard to pass up after, knowing the situation that Ohio State was in, being with a program like Michigan, and just being able to follow my dad's footsteps. And at the time, Coach Hoke and his staff was here. So it was just kind of like a no-brainer for me once I got my head on straight and things were easy.
Yeah, you're not supposed to admit that, dude. I didn't even know that about you.
Yeah.
Now you're telling the world, look at that.
I believe your dads played a year together.
Yeah, I think they overlapped, yeah.
Yeah. Have you guys heard any stories from them about this rivalry?
Just how great of a player, well, first of all, how great of a player Alan's dad was, but about the rivalry game, he's got all sorts of stories. And we grew up going down to Columbus to the game, coming up here for the game, so I kind of, it was kind of baptism by fire, especially going down there. You really get a sense of the tradition and get a sense of the rivalry. So he didn't really have to say a whole lot. I could just experience it myself.
Yeah, I agree with that. My dad didn't really say too much about it. Just being a part of that rivalry, basically since I've been born. I knew what that game was about. I knew what it meant to the state of Ohio, to the state of Michigan. So just growing up involved with this rivalry, it's an unbelievable experience.